Nina Turner was on CNN with Anderson Cooper and, as always, had an incredible segment. Now, before I play this clip, I have to give Anderson here some credit. He's been having on Cornel West quite a bit. He's been having on Nina Turner quite a bit. He's one of the few people on the network that actually is willing to have the discussion about the left versus neoliberalism. So Nina Turner gets into that here and basically what needs to be done.
Thought of Senator Sanders' remarks embracing Joe Biden, clearly asking his supporters to get Joe Biden elected.
I mean, the senator was clear. He's a man of his word. He said it in 2016. He said it again in 2020. So the senator is doing what he does. He created a movement. He was a spark, and the movement is the fire. And so the movement doesn't change. The notion that we need Medicare for all does not change. The notion that we need to legalize cannabis and take it off of Schedule 1 because it has ruined so many lives, particularly African-American lives with the war on drugs. Anderson, that doesn't change. The need to have college for all, that doesn't change. Environmental justice, see, none of those core fundamental issues change because it was never about a personality. It was more about the mission. And so progressives are still on the mission, understanding very clearly that we got two dragons we got to slay. We got to slay the dragon of neo-fascism and slay the dragon of neoliberalism, and the progressive movement is here for it.
Now, I have some data in a minute that backs up exactly what Nina Turner is saying there. But I want to quickly go over some of what she mentioned here, how Bernie Sanders was the spark, the movement is the fire. Nina's always able to really put into words what is going on in a way that is incredibly eloquent and I think easily digestible for a larger audience. And it is very important to have a messenger like that when you're speaking to cable news. So having people on like Nina Turner, like Cornel West, that is how you grow the movement. That is how you grow interest and awareness. And I'm glad that they're allowed on. I mean, I'm surprised every time I see it, but I'm glad they have these discussions. Also, of course, going into, the need to legalize cannabis, college for all, environmental justice, the fight for all of these things. None of this changes, even with Joe Biden potentially in the White House. And of course, the need to slay both these dragons of neo-fascism. The first step here is to get Trump out and then slay the dragon of neoliberalism. And one of the best ways to do it is to drop a giant pandemic, a massive economic crisis on the Democratic Party and force the administration to react. And you know what? It's not going to be enough because what their platform calls for is simply not enough. It is not guaranteeing healthcare to everybody. It is not giving people real financial help during this crisis. So there is a real ability here, potential to build a solid left-wing movement, continue growing and continue building it under Joe Biden, because there is no illusions. Unlike Barack Obama from the start, or unlike Barack Obama, there was this idea that he was fighting for the left because that's how he campaigned. He was hope and change. He was something different. He was an outsider in that sense. But clearly that was not the case. With Joe Biden, you have an entire 40-year career to look at. We all know who Joe Biden is. Joe Biden is not pretending to be progressive. He's not running on hope and change. From the start, there was already a big movement against him from the left. So it is very different than 2008. There is already going to be a contingent of people, not even just outside of the White House, but also inside the walls of Congress that are going to be actively fighting him, be it AOC, Rashida Tlaib, Ilhan Omar, Ro Khanna, Jamal Bowman, Cori Bush. So there's going to be a fight from inside and outside. But let me show you here something I just came across. Waleed Shahid posted this on Twitter. An interesting dynamic in latest CBS poll. Only 5% of Republicans say they're voting for Joe Biden. Right now, that's lower than the 8% of Republicans who voted for Obama in 2008, 6% of Republicans who voted for Obama in 2012, and 7% of Republicans who voted for Hillary Clinton. So what this tells you is that the strategy of focusing on winning over Republican voters is stupid. You're not going to win an election that way. And in fact, I put out a recent video. Joe Biden is now has now lost a lot of ground to Trump in key swing states. And how did he do that? How did he lose that ground? By focusing on trying to win over conservative voters. What he actually should be doing is trying to win over the 40% that doesn't normally vote, and of course the progressives in the party. That is how you win. Now, as I said in that video as well, like, you can complain all day and be like, why aren't people supporting Biden? Look at Trump's disaster. Look at the coronavirus, a clear disaster under Trump compared to any other country. That should be enough. But it's not. So instead of whining about it, how about fighting to push Joe Biden to actually support policies that will get people out to vote for him? It's one thing to try and continue hitting your head against a wall and trying to shame people into voting for Biden. Look, I do my best to make the argument. I think it's obvious you should be voting. I mean, listen to Nina Turner talking about needing to slay 2 dragons. Donald Trump is one of those dragons. Listen to Cornel West. Cornel West, who is the lead speaker, the keynote speaker at the Movement for a People's Party convention. He said on CNN he is voting for Joe Biden, but that doesn't mean he's endorsing him. So you can vote for somebody without endorsing them. And the best way to think about it is to what I always say. Think about voting in this instance, in this election. Think about voting for who you rather fight. Would you rather fight an authoritarian, a neo-fascist, or would you rather fight a neoliberal? It is just a lot easier to fight a neoliberal and to make the case against Democrats by having them in charge, saddling them with this crisis, and showing everybody how much of a failure the Democratic establishment is, while also having people like AOC and others speak out and discuss what needs to be done. This is how you help to grow a left movement. So I make that case, but look, I'm a tiny channel on YouTube. So I only have, an effect on a few people. The Joe Biden campaign has the ability here to actually grow their support by supporting real progressive policy. And Nina Turner, in a different part of that clip as well, or in a different part of that interview, discussed all the support for those issues that she mentioned. Marijuana legalization has a vast majority of support. Medicare for all, vast majority of support. All the issues that she mentioned, environmental justice, they have a majority of support from the people. But the fact is, a lot of those people don't normally vote because they feel disillusioned by this two-party system where neither party is speaking to them. All Joe Biden has to do is reach out to those voters